us right now that please go ahead and seek professional help from a mental health care professional, because I do see signs of depression and anxiety, and definitely this can be very greatly impactful on your life. See, the reason why I'm saying that is, sometimes a person's potential is much higher than what they are able to, get benefit of, because they are dealing with these kind of unresolved, unaddressed issues. So I see that you have this performance anxiety, and that bothers you. And of course, if there is an attention deficit, that could be a genuine attention deficit, or it could just be plain because of dealing with anxiety. Because when you're dealing with anxiety and depression, you tend to have these signs of brain fog, wherein you're not able to think clearly or convey your message very clearly across to other people. So you may be thinking right, but you may not be saying it right. So and these kind of course, these issues, whether you are appearing for an exam like a oral viva sort of a thing, or if you're appearing let's say for an interview for a job, of course you may be capable, and you would have all the caliber to perform that particular task, but because the anxiety overpowers in that moment, you are unable to deliver what your capacity is. So it's very, very important, and it's my request to you, please seek out, please reach out to a mental health care professional and seek therapy for this.
Yeah, so though it seems normal, though it feels like every one of us will be having similar thoughts, it is important for you to understand that this is not normal to have suicidal thoughts at least, and you'll have to seek a professional's help right away. For people like
So
you,
I would
and
like
for
to add here, sorry to interrupt you. I'd like to add here that, it would have been normal, had the anxiety just been a passing thing. Like, because we all usually do have, some performance anxiety, whether we're going to deliver a talk, or like, because I was the first speaker for these sessions, I also had a little bit, I was feeling a little anxious as to, how we're going to go about this, or if I have to go on a stage and deliver a talk, I do feel anxious at those moments. But they cannot be persistent. When they're persistent, when you're having disabling effects on you, then definitely that needs to be addressed, right? Anxiety or stress, like to some extent, definitely helps us perform better, do better, be more careful, right? So if it is completely absent, because like we say, it's a survival instinct, so a little bit of anxiety is important for survival. That's the reason why this whole mechanism is there in the brain. But if we are constantly, we're turning off the normal mode and we're only living on the survival mode throughout, then that's definitely, consuming a lot of energy, whether it's mental energy, physical energy. It's just exhausting you, and therefore it is important to address this. So with this email, it actually appears like, this person has been dealing with this for quite a long time, and a prolonged healthy on the person for sure.
yeah. So, and again, there is another important point that is made on the email. She says that she comes from a middle class background, and she says that her parents have got a lot of other things to deal with. I mean, this is true with the majority of us. We are all from middle class backgrounds, and our parents surely have got a lot of things to deal with. But in spite of all of that, your mental wellness is the most important thing that you should be uh, looking at or thinking about, because if not addressed at this age, it might result into a long lasting complication that you'll have to deal with and that you'll have to be with. So please do not uh, give a second thought about reaching out to the right help, especially with any of the other reasons that you might be thinking about. So our sincere request to you whomsoever has sent this email is to seek help from the therapist right away. If you are not aware of how to do this, you can also write to us. Now, this is advice to everyone on the call as well as to the larger student society. If you're not aware of how to reach out to the counselors, if you're not aware of where to get the right help, please write to us and we will direct you to the right help. We will also get you connected to the right people that you can talk to. If you're looking for private sessions, now there might be some arrangements that the counselors are coming with where they can have private sessions with you one-on-one, even during the lockdown period, because I'm sure the video conferencing has gone so deep into our lives that it would not uh, it would not stop you from interacting with the counselors whenever you want to. So it is important for you to understand whom to approach. It is important for you to reach out to the right people to talk to, but do not get deterred. Do not get hesitant about reaching to the right help, because if these feelings are not curbed at the right age and at the right time, it will lead to more complications for sure. We have many a times we have lost a few of our friends, our beautiful souls, to this depression and to the anxiety issues and to a lot of other things that could have been cured with the right help. So please reach out to us. And our aim of doing the Let's Talk show is all about being able to help you people. So I'm still waiting for the messages on the chat. Please send through your questions. We've been getting a few questions that we'll be taking in a short while. Please do not hesitate to write down your questions, or also raise your hands and we'll give you an opportunity to directly talk to the counselor on the call today. So I'm reading through the next email that we have got. Just give me a minute. Now, I feel guilty for having sexual encounters with a family member in childhood. It makes me very uncomfortable, and I'm unable to have intimacy in my relationship even now when I have grown up. I feel dirty and I think I was wrong to do it. Will I ever have a healthy relationship? Now, this is a very important question because though a lot of us hesitate to discuss topics like these because our upbringing does not allow us to talk about sex openly and about physical relationships openly. But it is time for all of us, especially the young generation, to understand that it is important for you to seek the right help and to talk about it at the right forums. So with this, ma'am, can you please put in your 2 cents?
So I think, the first thing that the person says is that I feel guilty. And then there's another word that's very prominent that says, I feel dirty. And these are the common thoughts that people who experience sexual abuse in childhood go through. So, I would say it is not an encounter. It is actually an abuse that the other person has done to you, considering they may be adults. In most cases, it is an adult who does these kind of things, or let's say, in some cases it has been a teenager a sibling, or a teenager cousin who does these kind of things to the younger children. And definitely it doesn't fall under, even if a child is curious, because obviously they do not understand it, it still is sexual abuse, and it lasts a deep scar. It leaves a deep scar. And definitely, until unless we resolve it, people are having these traumatic flashbacks. They're having difficulty trusting people. Trust issues are very common with children who've been sexually or physically, emotionally abused. And this is because it goes right at the root of the problem, that they were a child. The responsibility of knowing better doesn't actually fall on them. So it is, you do not need to feel guilty if something like this has happened to you. You do not need to feel guilty about it. You are not dirty for having even even if somebody has, like, as a child, if they have probably thought that they enjoyed the process, and they were it was more like a game, because that's what usually abusers do, that we've come across in cases. Even if that was the case, it is not your fault. And obviously, if this is impacting you greatly, if it is, which in most cases it does, I think you should seek help, and try to get over this trauma. We usually call this a post-traumatic syndrome. That something has happened in the past which keeps haunting you, going forward in life also. Obviously, for having a healthy relationship, I would say that you can definitely have a healthy relationship in the future. All you need to do is, take help to get over this guilt and this feeling of, feeling dirty, and you would feel better going forward.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is, I went to a counselor a year ago. I did not find the session useful, so I discontinued. She only heard me talk and not really give any advice or solution. What is the use of going for it? Yeah. So
I think that's actually a good question to address right now, because when the previous questions have been pretty, stressful, I think, for the people also. And this is one question that comes across several times. A lot of people that I've also, experienced in my, like, almost 5 years of practice, that people come for a session, they probably feel that they are not, getting much out of that session, and they drop out of the whole process just after first session. See, the first session mostly will be a session wherein the counselor is trying to understand, the counsel. So definitely, you as a client will be speaking more, in that session, because they're trying to understand, that what's going on, what are you feeling, or what are you thinking, or where that thing is coming from. They're trying to get information, like, in a clinical setup, we'll in the very first session we'll dig into, whether there is a family history of something like this, whether there is um, any other medical complications. So we take a lot of history, we take history of the problem also, that okay, so since when are you feeling this, has anything happened. So there's a lot of information taking in the first session, and therefore the first session may mostly feel very plain, and to some people it seems meaningless. Okay, why am I even just talking and you're not giving me any input, right? So the first session, if somebody is actually giving you a lot of inputs, or has started to already suggest, then actually I would say they definitely don't go back to that therapist. Okay, because because they've already started to judge the situation without really fully understanding it. A good sign of a session would be wherein the therapist is asking you more questions, that okay, so if you thought this way, then what made you think like that? Do you think there is another way of looking at this? So if the therapist is actually asking you more questions, that's a good sign. I think, even if you don't, and mostly people will not, like, it's with all of us, we will not like every person we are meeting, right? So we have our own inbuilt understanding of who we can have a good rapport with and who we cannot. So sometimes if you feel that the therapist is not able to understand you, or you are not able to understand the therapist, or there's no click, basically, so we need to have a rapport, but the click is the in word for the youngsters these days. So let's say if you don't click with the therapist, then just don't give up on the therapy process or the counseling process. Just look for someone else. Don't give up on the process. I usually tell some of my clients, because I'm used to following up, if somebody hasn't turned up, or just in case, or if it has been a long time even after therapy, and we've closed the process, then also I go back and follow up with people. So I have that tendency to do it. And some people have said that okay, and I go back and tell them that okay, even if you don't want to continue it with me, continue it with someone, because I do understand, from the first that we do have issues that need to be addressed. So definitely, even if you have given up on it the last year, because but I'm assuming that you went in the first place with some concerns. So if you do have concerns, don't drop out of the process. Okay, and maybe change the therapist, change the doctor, like we do, like we go to a doctor, we don't like their opinion, we take second opinion. So go to another counselor, that would help.
Thank you, ma'am. One other question. Please give me the information how to overcome depression. Some days I feel inspired, and sometimes I'm totally down inside. I feel pain in the down part of my brain. I don't want to tell my parents about this. Now that's scary.
Yes, it is. And I think they must. So the pain sometimes can be because of the stress. But if they're saying that the motivation keeps switching, we need to also explore, to what extent. Is it to an extreme, on two ends of the duality, or is it really just, just mild change in the mood? So we would need to explore that further. So I think going to a professional for this will definitely help you. And if you're having headaches also simultaneously, I would suggest that you rather go to a psychiatrist, to have a diagnosis before you start a therapeutic process.
Now, is it? This also brings me to a good question, and probably this is also for my understanding. Now, should a person necessarily see a counselor, when they say counselor, a psychologist, before they seek to visit a psychotherapist, psychiatrist?
Okay, so like all these things are separate. Like I would like to explain this a little in detail. I hope we do have time
Yeah,
permitting
yeah,
that.
please, please.
So see, basically these are different things. So let's go by what a person does. So a psychiatrist is a medical professional. So they've done their MBBS, then they've done their specialization in psychiatry. That is why we call them psychiatrists. So they have studied the brain, right? They have at length studied, how several chemical imbalances could cause several, conditions of mood, of behavior, conduct, and other ailments. And they specialize in medication, right? So when you go to a psychiatrist, and if they diagnose a disorder, they're going to write to you, some medication that you would need to take for a length of period, because again, psychiatric medication is not a quick fix. The first you need to find the right medication, then you need to find the right dosage, then you need to maintain the dosage, and then comes the weaning period. So it takes a while, right? So it's not that you took the medication for a few weeks and you're going to feel okay. It's not a painkiller. Then the second part is, let's say, a psychotherapist. Now a psychotherapist is somebody who specializes in psychological therapies, and these could be several therapies, or a specific area. Like somebody could specialize in psychoanalysis only, or somebody could have different modalities. They would integrate the modalities and use them. So basically, people who are trained in therapies which are used to help people deal with conditions like, let's say, depression or anxiety, or even other mood disorders like bipolar. Definitely a psychotherapist, a person who's well trained in therapeutic models. But that could be even a psychiatrist. Sometimes they take up psychotherapy trainings and certifications. And that could be a clinical psychologist also, who's specialized in clinical psychology. Is different from counseling psychology, because when we are working in a clinical setup, let's say in a hospital, we're dealing with a lot of patients of, let's say, addiction. We're dealing with patients who have severe emotional or mental disorders, right? and they need medication alongside therapy, and clinical psychologists are best people to deal with severely disabling conditions. So basically, if a condition is disabling, then you need to see a clinical psychologist. But if you have situation like, you're not really sure, you don't have a diagnosis, you do feel sad, but maybe a little bit of talking to someone and getting a different perspective, bringing about certain lifestyle changes will help you to or even people who are not really able to express their emotions, people who don't really know how to identify emotions, because we do see that in our practice. And so for all that, you can definitely go to a counseling psychologist. If they're trained in career counseling, you can go for career counseling to them. You can go for relationship counseling, if you have issues coping up with your partner, or if you're having frequent fights, if you're having issues with adjusting with your family, go to a counseling psychologist. So there are different people who address. So even in field of mental health, there are different specializations, right? So just by saying that, oh, some person is a psychologist and maybe they can solve, not every psychologist can solve everybody's problems. They specialize in certain areas. So you need to figure out whether this person will be able to help me. And in the first session, you'd get to know, right? When we good practitioner will always tell you, if they are not able to help you, they'll definitely refer you to someone else. If I see people are in need of medication, I'll tell them right away that you also need to go and see a psychiatrist, and maybe a clinical psychologist would be more expert. Like if when there are severely disabled cases, then I pass it on. I don't take it further, right? When I see that, okay, this is something in my capacity, because I have a clinical training, I have a therapy training, but maybe if we say, suppose somebody's coming to me with severe disability issue, and I'm not able to address it, then I would definitely refer it to someone else. And that's what most of my colleagues do, right? We refer to each other if in case we see the other person is more an expertise at dealing with this. So I hope the difference has been understood, and I've been able to explain it fine. If you have more questions to that, then I could address that.
Yeah, thank you. We have come to the end of our emails that we have got. Now, I've been asking our participants to put up messages on the call. There are quite a lot of messages, and we shall go through the messages because these are more interesting. So I want to talk, but I want to have a private session. So I'll address the necessity for a private session, and how we are going to reach out to the counselors that we are bringing onto the show. Leave that with me. You can please write to us on the email. It's lets.talk@younify.com, and we'll be able to put you through to the right counselors depending on the case. And the next question is a question. It was not until my mid-second year that I realized I'm suffering from depression. This strange feeling of what others would think about me, or that nobody respects me, always pesters me every single day as I walk from hostel to the classroom. I often pretend as if things were fine. Now that I'm home, I hardly get that feeling. But how to overcome this feeling and how to feel better about myself? So, if I understand right from this question, the person seems to be saying that they've had these feelings while they're at the hostel, and after they have returned home, they're feeling fine about it, and they believe that they've had depression from their second year of whatever they're studying right now. So that's the question.
Well, actually, if you are feeling these feelings for a long time, if you're feeling low, and there's fatigue, there's lethargy, or if there is a lack of motivation, and there's this constant feeling of feeling down all the time, then I think it's very important, it's critical for your health, for you to go ahead and seek help. I think diagnosis cannot be definitely made, just like with the limited information that we have received here. So but then going and seeing a mental health professional will definitely address this issue for you. So I would suggest, recommend. And like sir rightly said a while ago, now most of the professionals are available online because of the COVID issue. So I think you can just reach out to a professional, locate someone nearby if in case you later on want to go for in-person sessions. But otherwise, if you feel that you're going to be constantly okay with online sessions, you can look for people elsewhere also. Right, and go ahead, seek help, and this definitely needs to be addressed, I would say.
Thank you, Manisha. The next question we would like to take up is dealing with stress is sometimes tough. So how to deal with it before it takes on us completely? Are there any remedies that I can follow on daily basis to be tough even in tough situations? It's a good
Okay,
question. Even I would
now
know the answer to this.
I think the whole toughness question is a little bit of what I would actually like to question, because this is something that we've been trained or conditioned right from childhood, that okay, you got to be strong, you got to be so even if a child falls and we're saying, oh, Roma, you're a strong child, we need to overcome that conditioning now. So the toughness, you need to drop that toughness. Of course, you need to build resilience. Stress is a part of everyday life, for people. Like I said a while ago, that some margin of stress is or anxiety is important to keep us well functioning, but only some minute margin of it. So but if it is excessive, then you need to do something about it. There are a few things that I would like to suggest, and like I said, there is no one size fits all, right? But you can try different processes. So one is, you need to focus on your lifestyle. Okay, what is the kind of lifestyle? Are you maintaining a routine? Now with for mental health, it's very important that we have a routine. We need to have a biological clock set in order. Now some people say that we work in a certain this thing, or we study in a certain zone wherein we're not able to maintain the regular traditional biological clock wherein we wake up with the sun and we sleep with it. Of course, that's not maintainable right now, but what you can do is, like, suppose, let's say, if you sleep at 2 o'clock every night, then you need to maintain a healthy sleep time. Okay, and sleep till say 9 o'clock, 8 or 9 o'clock, minimum 8, or otherwise 9 o'clock, and then you have that sound sleep of 7 to 8 hours in between, and then you go ahead and start your day. So that's one. Then another thing is that people think yoga is just plain form of exercise, and it's pretty boring for a lot of youngsters. That's what I've come across as. I may be wrong, definitely, but it's just I have the people that I came across, they find that yoga is very monotonous and boring, and they need to do something fast, and something that they can put on music and do. And see, there's nothing wrong with that, but yoga actually helping you slow down and calm down. It's a fast-paced world. We are constantly running around. So I'm not a yoga trained professional, so no way I'm promoting anything monetarily here. I'm just saying that it has helped me. Breathing exercises, they do help you calm down. So with most of my clients with anxiety disorder, we make sure that they are doing some breathing exercises on day-to-day basis. Right. Then the full exercise form of yoga, again, you're focusing on the breath, you're holding the posture, and then so that gives a lot of calmness to the mind. And that's how we actually, ideally, fitness criteria has to be like that we need to be physically active and mentally calm. But we are mentally overactive, and physically we want to just lie down in our couch if you're not doing anything and not really do anything. Okay, it's a Sunday, maybe, on the lockdown period, everybody is going through that. So I think keep your body active. Daily exercises is definitely going to be helpful. If you're not happy with yoga, try something else like running. Running is very helpful, or cycling, some form of exercise where the motion is also engaging your thoughts or your mind into it. So that's important. Then of course, if you can learn to do some meditation, some mindfulness meditation. Now again, some people tell me that they are not able to have a clear mind. Well, you don't necessarily need to have a clear mind. It's a process that you can learn, and you can just always let the thoughts go. That's the only thing you need to do, not have any thoughts. You can always have thoughts. And then there are different other forms of meditations that you can use. You can use guided meditations, and you can use uh, let's say chanting. Just simply sitting and doing om chanting will help. Now people with religious biases may not want to do that, so they can just do something else, that that could help them, just a sound meditation. So there are different forms. What would work for you would be what you're trying. Another thing that you can that can help you, and that's a cognitive method, is journaling, right? That's something that you can do, and or you must do to vent it out. If you're not able to, on day-to-day basis speak to people around you, just put it down on paper. You don't necessarily need to go back and read it. Of course, if it's very stressful, don't go back and read it. And another caution with the guided meditations, because I've suggested it, I would like to give a caution there, that suppose if you are feeling some disturbance in your mood, if you are pursuing something like that, then drop it immediately. Seek a professional, because a lot of people with mood disorders don't have very good reception of guided meditations that can trigger another disturbance in the system. So be careful of that.
Yeah, Manisha, let's take a few questions from the participants, because there are a few who've been raising their hands, and before they really feel painful about raising their hands and not being addressed, there are a few questions on the chat as well, but we'll come back to the chat questions. There's Vamsi Krishna who would want to ask something and has raised his hand. Vamsi, would you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
I chose to raise my hand because, I wanted to express my feelings, and I cannot do it through mail, obviously. So I wanted to talk to you directly. Sorry, sir. Sorry for that.
No, please go ahead.
And yes, thank you. My question is, I don't know whether I am really in depression or not, but at a point of time in my life during my class 8 or so, I thought I was having a feeling like I was completely lonely, a feeling of loneliness. I even don't know why I was crying. So such thing happened in 10th class before board exams. Like, I was so frustrated that I came. That feeling came as an outburst, and I broke my hand hitting a wall. Actually, I feel still really bad because it went to such an extent that I was I was harming myself. So after in growing days, I've come to know that my problem is all about mind management. And you also said that you are also an NLP therapist, but I know I have all the knowledge why I'm feeling like that, but I have gone through all the science like NLP. We have a reticular activating system, which is responsible for information which is getting into our brain, etc. All that information I have, but I don't know how to practice mind management and emotional intelligence. Can you please help me, madam?
Vamsi, thank you for your question, and definitely, I do see, there was this reminds me when you say that, you do have the knowledge of it, the knowledge is definitely available to most of us, right? It's about incorporating that knowledge or application of that knowledge. That's why we need professionals. Like, you can get all the symptoms, you can put up all your symptoms on Google, and the Google can tell you what the illness could be, but we still need to go and see a doctor, right? So Vamsi, I would suggest that if in case you're in college, if you have a counselor in the college, do go ahead and speak, because I see that there could be layers to this. We usually say that emotional disturbances is feeling of loneliness. Some people go ahead to experience voids, and that the self-harm tendency is somewhat linked to that, because the pain is not really absolutely visible. If you don't know the depth of it, but you feel it, and sometimes that feeling is not so easy to completely comprehend. End up feeling more frustrated and impulsive. We try to, and there could be there could be different other tendencies joining that, like sometimes addiction to games or other substances. Then there could be multiple other issues that might come along with that. So therefore, I would suggest, Mamsi, you speak to someone, like at length, and try to figure out if this is a personality related issue that you need to deal with.
Thank you, Manisha. Thank you, Vamsi, and hope
Thank
that
you, sir. Thank you
that
so
will
much.
help you. Yeah, good luck with it. We've got our second hand from Akanksha. Akanksha, would you want to go and talk to the counselor?
Yes, sir. Hello, sir, and hello, ma'am.
Hello, Kansha.
So, I'd like to really keep it like a brief thing. I mean, it's like a pretty long story, but I'll try to make it short. So, I had PTSD when I was 12. It was because of a death in the family, and I couldn't take it because I'm like usually known to be very sensitive on the inside. And yes, I did go to therapy for 4 years. I mean, it was like is 4 years normal for like people to recover from someone's death? And also, like after that, also I always like put my guard up, like in letting people in, like in my heart, or like because I was scared that I lose them at one point. I mean, I only have one best friend, so since the past 20 years. And recently, like I'm starting to let people in, and like there's this one particular friend who's like, she has a lot of mood swings, or so she says. I'm not sure of it. She's like, one minute she's very nice to me, she's like talking about going to the UK and studying and stuff, and the next minute she's like, you only talk to me if you need stuff from me. I mean, I'm not that kind of person, and she has done it like 3 times already, and I feel like it's a toxic friendship, which is like worse than a toxic relationship. And and also I would like to add that recently there's a really big family issue, which made me consider jumping off a terrace. I was breathless, I had a really bad panic attack, and there was no one by my side. So like, should I consider going to therapy again, or and that's
Definitely,
my question.
Akansha. To start from the end, I would say definitely you must start therapy again, and there are reasons for that. You asked in your question that, is 4 years, a long period or a short period
Yes,
to
yes.
overcome grief. Grief as we know it, it does not really have a timeline. Some
Yeah.
people live with a certain grief of a loss throughout their lives, okay? But if that is affecting you in different other areas, if it is making you feel dependent on relationship, on toxic relationships, if it is making you think of suicide, if it is making you feel sad all the time, or fearful about attachments, then definitely these are all red flags, and you need to continue the therapy process. Because you need to release, you need to release the trauma that you have
Yeah.
stored up, and you'd also need to come to terms with understanding yourself and the world better. Because engaging in even toxic relationships sometimes become like addiction, so one after the other. This happens mostly, like we can say it for people who are into romantic relationship, but this also stands true for friendships, because friendship is a very special bond, right? And for somebody like you who doesn't let every person in, it will definitely, once you formed that connection with someone, it will be very difficult for you to think of letting that person go, even
Yes,
if they're toxic.
exactly, ma'am. Like, it is very hard
Hmm.
to imagine that that person whom we thought, like, is our really close friend,
Hmm.
that person is not exactly what he or she claims to be.
Hmm.
And there were certain incidents, like when I was in my intermediate, I was in a hostel, and one of my English professors was like really, I mean, it is not like I mean, I have never told this to anyone, because and so he was like very, I don't know, not too nice, to put it subtly,
Hmm.
but I mean, like every when I was intermediate, when I told my friends about it, that he was being weird with me, and it was just very awkward, and they always like judged me ki maybe you're you're provoking him, maybe you're the reason, wherein I was just being nice to everyone.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I have never told that to anyone. And recently I mean, we live in this typical families where you know romantic relationships is not the forte.
Hmm.
And I went on a date with this guy, and he was like very nice, and suddenly he tried to do something which I didn't was like approving of. And I mean, I didn't realize at that moment, but after I came home, I realized he wanted to do something. Thankfully, I didn't let him do that, because consent is all that matters, right, ma'am?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
yeah. And it's like I'm still kind of like, traumatized about that too, because once, like, the incident which happened in intermediate, uh, I tried to let it go, because it was just like 1 year, and then the next year I left the hostel. But again, we start trusting someone, and even they start to do the same thing, touching elsewhere and stuff like that. It hurts. And apart from that, a toxic toxic friendship is just like a like a boulder put on my head.
Right.
So,
Akansha, see, there's a difference between, putting walls around yourself, or having healthy boundaries. There's a great difference in that, and that's what most of us lack, until unless we are taught how to do it, right? So it's not your fault if somebody is getting getting thoughts that do not align with the signals that you give. So it's not your fault. Like you said, your friends were blaming you. No, I would say that's not your fault at all if somebody is making any advances which are inappropriate to you. But when these kind of situations repeat in life, wherein your trust in someone is constantly shaken up, you end up creating this wall, and then you really don't know. And then sometimes you think, okay, let me just drop the wall and go out and try to meet people. And then again,
yeah.
if you have a bad experience, and then you would again go back and stay inside that wall. So it's important that you learn how to set healthy boundaries for everybody. So one, again, there's a sign of dependency, wherein it's difficult for you to let go of a toxic
Yes.
relationship, and it's disturbing you to think of doing that. So I think it's not just that you need to learn about healthy boundaries and how to set them right, but also that you need to release these traumas that you've been through. Okay, you need to overcome this emotional dependency and figure out where this is arising from. So definitely counseling will be helpful.
And also, I've been this victim of body shaming since I was a kid. Like because obviously you don't meet the society standards, and my family is just judgmental family, and I mean, as I said, I haven't told what I told you right now to like anyone else, and hiding that is difficult. And again, on top of it, like people are body shaming, like you have to look like this, you have to look like that, and I just feel that, I mean, I cry almost every single day uh, because of this mental stress and stuff. But also it feels like I just give and give and give to people, you know, ma'am, and like I'm scared that I lose myself in the midst of it, and I don't want to lose myself.
Definitely. That's
Yeah.
what I meant when I said that, you definitely need support here. So go ahead and seek support because, and I'm sorry, Akansha, that, you have to live with these kind of social.
I'm literally crying right now. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. You don't have to be
It's okay.
sorry to
It's
express
okay.
yourself.
Yes,
It's absolutely fine, Akansha.
it is fine. No, we are here to listen to you, and we are here to talk to you. We are here to share your pain.
It's
Akanksha,
like all my life I've been judged, sir, and
I'll tell
I'm
you.
scared to like even tell people what I actually feel, and it
I have
hurts a lot.
I have gone through body shaming when I was growing up. I was told that I look dark. I was told that I am not a good-looking guy. Even when I was in my 10th standard, when I had to talk to a girl, because that's the most interesting thing that a
Yeah.
teenager does. I was told that I'll have to look at myself in a mirror and judge what I am. So, body shaming has been part of our society, unfortunately. It's been there. We all would have gone through it. I mean, not many of us look like Mahesh Babu's or Shah Rukh
True.
Khan's, right? We are ourselves.
Yeah.
We'll have to
I
accept
think,
what we are.
sir, even Shah Rukh Khan would at some stage would have gone through
Absolutely.
shaming.
Even Shah
So
Rukh
don't
Khan at
worry about
some
that.
stage would have gone through it. And in fact,
Yes.
the problem with it is we get into a shell. I'm like so grown up now. I've got a lot of achievement behind my back. I've got all you guys who've been part of the platform that we have built. Even today, I am absolutely concerned about how I look, and I try to look at myself, feel bad at times that I'm not looking as someone else. I mean, trust me, in spite of all of
We
this
are
that we've gone,
really self-conscious about our
we are,
appearance.
because we are made conscious. See, the reason that we are in this state is because we are made conscious. We have gone through those
Yeah.
experiences so many times, so routinely, as if they've been made to remind us how we look. Now, if that is what we go through, we are surely losing our confidence, and we end up being more distressed than what we should be. So we are with you on that. You're not alone in this journey. We all go through this. But what you have to understand is, you got to understand that this is something that you can come out of. This is not something that should put you down. Because if it puts you down, there is much more beautiful things that you are missing upon in life that you'll need to look for. If I would have been put myself down that day, and if I wouldn't have proceeded to what I am today, would you think all of this that we are doing today as Younify would be possible?
No, sir. It takes a lot of I don't know, like mentally and like physically, it takes a lot of effort to do anything.
Yes,
And
but then you got to take one step at a time. See, I'm not an expert in giving you an advice today, but I'm just trying to give you a common person's perspective on how can you overcome this. I have gone through this personally. So what I did was to focus on what I'm good at, to focus on what can I
Yes, sir.
achieve, to focus on how can I do good to others. Now, the only thing that I have told myself is, if someone is telling me this and if it is hurting me
Yeah.
to the core, how can I stop doing it to someone else? Because when I
Yeah,
know how it
correct.
impacts me, it is also important for me to not give the same pain to someone else. So please try to take pride within your actions, that you're not being that same bully who is going to judge someone else's looks or someone else's appearance.
Yes, sir. And the fact that we don't actually judge people and people always judge us, it's like so unbelievable.
And
And
you just only got to pity them.
yeah, I mean, personally, like, I don't judge anyone, like, be it caste, be it color. I've been always like this really nice person to be around, and sometimes just people don't uh, get get what is behind that smiling face of mine. Like,
No,
even my best friend doesn't get it.
you are nice.
Sometimes we just all we need is a hug, and people don't get it.
All of
They
these,
just
all of these
all we need
people,
is some assurance
So
that
would a
yeah,
virtual hug help?
yeah, all of these people on the call, let us all give a hug to Akanksha. A
Yes.
virtual hug. I
thank
mean,
you.
you feel us all here today. We are all here for you, and we are listening to you. And you don't know how emotional that I'm feeling, that I'm able to talk about something that I've not talked to anyone on this call today, and you made me talk. So even I was body shaming, Akanksha, and it feels really hurting when you talk about it. But we are all there with you, and there's lot many
Thank
people
you,
around
sir.
you who've been going through the same thing. And let us be strong, because we are much, much, much beautiful and worth than what people think about us.
Yeah, and people, like, not only in like real life, like social media is like another platform wherein people just say whatever comes to their head, and don't actually care about what person is actually going to feel. And so there was this incident where I posted a picture, and immediately I got a call from so many people saying that, take it down, like, what are you trying to do, whose attention are you trying to get? And I was like, I just felt body confident in that one picture. Like, get over it. It's like they feel ki I'm doing stuff for them, wherein I'm doing stuff for me to love myself. And it is so, the society is twisted, sir, like, to be honest.
Okay. I mean, I will have to answer a lot of questions to myself and to the people in my life when I answer this. But yes, we are at times feel slave to the society in many ways. I'm trying hard to come out of it, and everyone on this call, even including Manisha, would have gone through this herself. So,
Definitely. Everybody used to treat me like a boy. Like, even when I was a tomboy. I mean, I took up that tomboy identity because when I was younger, everybody said my face looked like that of a boy. So, for a North Indian girl, it wasn't really good to be very skinny and very, have a big face than the body. So everybody called me a boy, and then I said, okay, let me take up the tomboy, this thing.
Vibe. And
And I was pretty happy with that. I became very popular with it. So
yeah,
so it's about using what you have to the best of the capacity, and then I think the only person who has ever called me like beautiful is my daughter, and I know that's
oh,
it's
yeah,
beyond all the social norms and everything. Because even like you said, my family who used to feel very bad,
exactly, ma'am.
first child in the family is a girl, not fair, So there were a lot of things that went on. So I would say, Akansha, don't worry about these things because people need to judge, and even the bullies. I would like to add is that most of them, while there are some rare cases where they're just conditioned that way, but in most cases, bullies are the ones who were bullied someplace. Someplace maybe they're bullied at home, and then they come out and then they bully their classmates in school. We've seen that. So this is, you are a compassionate person. You understand. You feel hurt, so you don't want to hurt other people. That means, you're a good soul, and you can really help people around you. Like Sir is doing. I think he's doing a wonderful job, because he understood what it goes through and what people need, and that's why he's trying to reach out to other people. And I think that's what you can do when we make a purpose larger than our problems. I think it definitely helps, and I'm saying it from my personal experience, right? So I've had family issues. I've been sexually abused as a child. I've dealt with depression at some stage in my life earlier on. And I can say this, that I've a while ago somebody was saying they feel like that feel down with things, and then that things are very bothersome and they're not able to deal with it. I've been through all that, and I said that okay, now I have to make my purpose larger than myself. And that's where like I said in the beginning, that I shifted my career and try to reach out. I don't reach out like okay, I'm going to sit and see 10 people. I make sure I see limited number of people, so I can put attention to. And so that's how you can use something that has hurt you as a tool to help others, right? Akansha, so make your purpose larger than that. And but before that, first try to get over these issues and traumas that you're dealing with. When you're able to do that, then you're able to also contribute furthermore.
So,
right?
do you think like it's better for me to consider therapy?
Definitely.
And everyone on the call, can you all please give a virtual hug to Akanksha on your messages? That will be.
I've been getting private messages. I haven't received this much love in like years.
Yeah, we are all with you. Don't worry about anything that is
happening. We are always loved, it's just that we're looking for love in the wrong places. That's what
that is absolutely
okay, so just look at love and you'll find it everywhere. Okay, don't look at selective places only.
One real life incident that I wanted to tell you all is that I've always been looking for real love, and I thought I'll never get a woman that will love me that deep in my life, until I've met my wife, who now is someone whom I can claim that loves me the most. So there's always people in your life whom you got to meet and whom you'll have to be with to understand why is it important for you to hang on, why is it important for you to define your life in a better way and put everything that you are feeling stressed about behind your back and move forward. But again, it is important for you to talk to the right people and seek right help at the right time, because if you cannot talk to the right people, if you are being judged and if you are feeling stressed about the condition that you are in, you are very likely to end up depressed and distressed, and it might lead to more complications. So our whole aim here is to help you all, to bring the right help to you, to make you talk to the right people, and also to make you talk and de-stress yourself, like what Akanksha did today.
It took a lot of gut for me to tell about the incidents that I never actually opened up about. And I thought ki maybe if I open up, some other people might feel confident enough to open up about themselves. And I just wanted to help others from my part, to be honest.
It is important for you to come out and talk about it, because if we are pinned down by people who would judge us, but by what you have revealed today, you are not doing justice to the people who are on the call. But if you have come out like this, there are many more people who would want to come out and talk about their experiences and seek help, because there's always a beginning. And Akanksha, I'm really glad that you have given that beginning to us. And thank you so much for being what you have been today.
So one last question. I'm really sorry that I'm talking
no, please
for
take
a long time. So like, can you share some contacts of like some therapists, if that's fine?
Sure.
To the email, sir?
Now we've been working with the therapists who are coming from different agencies or organizations, and we shall put you through to them. There are therapists that you can directly connect, or there are therapists like MANISHA whom you can even connect through a call depending on their availability. It is all about their availabilities. We'll verify with them and we'll put you through to them. We are here to help you and connect you with the right connects. So please be confident about what you guys are doing here. It is all about helping you all and making difference to even one person a day. That will make us really successful. Today, I'm so happy that we have made a difference to you, and you'll be able to now look positive for the things to come. So
Yes.
there's a lot of questions that we couldn't take today. In fact, this call should have ended 30 minutes back, but we have.
I'm so sorry.
No, please don't be sorry. I mean, it's so happy that we have done this today. Manisha, please support if you think the same, because this is the best outcome of our entire call.
And Manisha ma'am, I'd like to thank you for giving me some clarity on whether I should go to therapy or not, because since the quarantine has started, I've been in the dilemma ki should I go or should I not go, and I would just like to thank you for that. And sir, if it's possible, can you please share the contact of some of the therapists, if possible, through email?
Sure.
I
We will
actually
reply back to your email with the right connects that you can reach out to. The idea is to connect you to the right connects and help you with the right advice.
Yes.
So that is where I say we are here, and we would be able to back you up. And that's why we call it Let's Talk.
Yeah.
Sir, I would just like to answer two questions that came here, and just because that's important to address. Aryan has put up, a statement saying that the orthodox way of fighting depression, for example, exercise, distracting mind with work, etc., do they work out at any level or not? So Aryan, I would like to divide this question in two parts. One is that, let's say the orthodox way of fighting depression by exercise. Well, definitely exercise is helpful, and I do definitely recommend it to most of my clients, because it's going to help you give some movement to the body. It's going to impact the brain better. You're going to get more oxygen, so definitely that does help to fight depression, but that's not just the only way. One, and second is the distracting mind with work. I will say that that's absolutely wrong way of dealing with it, because I'd shared this itch example, and I think that's the best way to tell that. If you're trying to avoid something, that's definitely going to bother you in some way or the other, right? So avoidance is not a resolution, but dealing with it through different techniques, but also including counseling work in it, because that gives you a perspective. Einstein had once said that the mind that you created a problem will not be the right mind to solve the problem, right? So you need someone else's perspective also, and therefore it's important to seek counseling if you're dealing with depression or anxiety or any other problem per se. And then there's another question which asks if depression is hereditary. Well, genetics do play a part. However, environment is a larger influence. So suppose if somebody is born to a parent who has depression, doesn't necessarily mean the child will also have depression. They may have let's say they would have a genetic predisposition to maybe have it, but it is not definite. So suppose if you change the environment of the child, right? If they're not living in the environment which is contributing to sadness or feelings of worthlessness or hopelessness, then definitely they may live a life without depression. So it's not certain. Okay, so it's there is a predisposition because of the genetics, but it's not certain.
There's one last question that we can take, and it says, is depression hereditary?
Sorry?
Is depression hereditary?
That's what I was answering, sir.
Oh, I'm
It
sorry.
is so there is a genetic predisposition, but it's not certain that somebody who has a parent with a certain condition, the child will also develop the condition. That's not true. But yes, there is a tendency. It's like let's say a person has a heart condition, like the father has a heart condition, but if the child is active, they are taking they lead a good lifestyle, and they're eating healthy, they can definitely go through their life without having any heart disease. So it's the same with mental illnesses.
Thank you, Manisha. Thank you all. I've got a suggestion to you all. There's been a few messages that you have sent that we cannot take today. Can you please email them to letstalk@younify.com? We shall have this session every day exactly at the same time. We are bringing in counselors every day. Manisha will also be joining us next Tuesday at the same time to talk to us, and there will be more counselors joining us every day. So please note down this email ID, lets.talk@younify.com. Please send through your questions. We'll keep your details anonymous, and we shall read through your questions, as well as we'll also be giving you opportunity to talk on the call with the counselors. So please do not feel bad that your questions hasn't been picked up today. Due to time unavailability for all of us today, we'll have to postpone these questions to tomorrow. And remember that this is a daily talk show. So what it means is your questions will surely be answered. So if you have got questions here today that are not answered, even if you have put them on messages, please try to pick that up and email it to us on that email ID that we have provided to them. I've already got 3 emails from the people who have attended this session right now in the last 15 to 20 minutes. And there are a few other emails that we got to take up. Tomorrow, the session is mostly around issues pertaining to relationships, because there is a relationship expert who's joining us from Singapore tomorrow. And we'll be taking up all of your questions around it. So feel safe, feel positive, and thank you all for joining. Manisha, thank you for your time today. It's a pleasure having you on the call.
Yes, sir. It was a pleasure for me too, and I hope that I've been able to address some issues that the students came up with, and I'd be glad to help in the future as well. So if they have any questions that I could address, please send them across to me.
Yes, I'll also be providing the right contacts and connects to you all who would want to talk to counselors personally. Again, the availability and time is a question that we got to check with them on, and you can connect with them depending on their services and their charges that they would want to have, because a personal session would always be paid for. So we'll talk to them, we'll find out their availabilities, and we'll let you know about it. And thank you all for joining with us, and have a great day. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, is there any way that we can talk to you personally, sir?
Talk to?
Is there any way that we can talk to you personally, sir?
Talk to me personally? Yes, of course. I'm just trying to figure out how can we connect. You can email on lets.talk, and I'll figure out a way to reply to you. Or if you are part of our campus radio, if you are a team member of a campus radio, you can reach out to your CRM, the campus relationship manager, and they'll connect you with me.
Yes, like I wanted to talk to you over phone, sir. Like I have some concerns regarding some issues, so
Not a
I
problem.
wanted to talk to you openly.
Not a problem.
Thank
Please
you,
connect with the campus relationship manager, and you can get through to me through them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day, all.
Thank you, sir.